Hello, welcome to Monday. My name's Tom Carnell. This is Carnell Knowledge, a show where I come on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and talk a little bit about some movies, some books, and some records that may have fallen through the cracks that people don't really talk about or possibly haven't heard. But I'm here to change all that. As far as who I am, I was a buyer for a bunch of record stores for 20 years, Tower, Record Factory, Warehouse. I published and wrote Carpe Noctem, which was a dark culture publication back in the 90s. And then for a couple of decades, I wrote for Fangoria, Dread Central, and a little bit for Twitchfield.com. I'm now an author. Go to my Amazon page. There's like a dozen books there that you can check out. A lot of short story collections, a couple of novels, and the like. A couple of pieces of housekeeping. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming on and watching and for subscribing and liking and commenting and all that stuff. You guys have been great. Please continue to do that and share it onto your social media if you can. I would be most appreciative. A couple things. If it sounds like I'm a little clogged up, it's because I am. Somehow I got sick. And on top of that, I have a three-legged pit bull. And that's a long story how she got 3 legs. But I tripped over her the other day and landed and bruised my floating rib on this side. So breathing's a little weird. So I appreciate that. And then to top it all off, just now I took her out to pee and turned around for a minute and she had a dead rabbit in her mouth. I don't know how that happened, but we do have a lot of coyotes around here in lovely, cold and brisk Bellingham, Washington. Someone asked me about the criteria on how I choose things. I don't have one. Basically, it's things I like, things I think other people should hear about, and again, things that have slipped through the cracks and maybe aren't as much discussed as they once were. And that's kind of it. Again, if you have anything you want to send my way, go ahead and email me, comment below, or email me at tomcarnell@gmail.com. In the description of this video, you will find links to Amazon pages for all the books, links to YouTube trailer films for all the movies, and then full YouTube playlists for all the records. So don't just take my word for it. Go check it out, do your due diligence, and you may find something you may like, or you may think, I don't know what I'm talking about, which is equally fair. So let's get started. Excuse me. We're going to start with some movies. As usual, most of this stuff, if not all of it, is available for free on TUBI. They don't sponsor the show. I wish they would, but they're there for your perusal. Let's see. First movie is from 1963. It's directed by the great Mario Bava. It stars Dahlia Levy and Christopher Lee. It's called La Frusta et il Corpo, aka The Whip and the Body. Say it with me. The synopsis goes like this. The ghost of a sadistic nobleman attempts to rekindle his romance with the terrorized, masochistic former lover who is unwillingly betrothed to her brother. This is a beautiful film. I'm not exactly enthralled with some of the subject matter. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a thinly veiled S&M film. But that said, is absolutely lovely. Bava's use of color in this movie is masterful. Not since Blood and Black Lace do we see this kind of artistic, the use of the screen as a palette. Absolutely stunning. This is Christopher Lee at his best, his most menacing. It's back to the color thing. Excuse me. It very much reminded me of a Hammer film, and that's special. It's one of the few films that Christopher Lee, the way Italian cinema worked is that they didn't shoot sound. There's something called additional dialogue recording, or ADR, that they would come in later with either the actors themselves or other actors, depending on the language that they were recording in. And that way, there wasn't a lot to do. You could have in any given scene, one guy on the set speaking Italian, another guy speaking English, and another guy speaking Spanish. And it didn't matter because you were going to dub it all later. The other thing that made it cost effective was when you're recording sound, if in the middle of everything an airplane flies by, you're kind of dead in the water. Didn't matter in Italy. They just shot, and they would record it all later. But The Whip in the Body, it's weird to say that it's my favorite Bava film, but it's one of the ones that are up there just because it's so pretty, and it's one of those things you can put on, like if you have it on in a club or something playing in the background while the music's playing. It's beautiful, and people will absolutely ask you what it is. Yeah, Whip in the Body, highly recommended. I think it's up there easily in the top 5 Bava films of all time, at least according to me. Second story or film, also available on TUBI. This is from 2013. It's a documentary. It's called Adjust Your Tracking, The Untold Story of the VHS Collector, directed by Dan Kinham and Levi Paratic. It stars Lloyd Kaufman, my old boss, Tony Timpone from Fangoria, and a buddy of mine, a guy named Dormoth, a.k.a. Paul Malik, who has a great horror attic in his house, full of VHS and all this old school media. He's in it, and he's talking a lot about his love of VHS. This is basically talking about the resurgence of the VHS collector and the VHS culture. It's a great way, if you scratch your head and think, why would people want to go back to such archaic media? This is a great primer on that. These people are passionate, they're knowledgeable, and it's just fantastic. I didn't get the VHS thing for a while because the visual is so poor, and you know, again, adjust your tracking, that kind of thing. Sound was never up to snuff once DVD and Blu-ray came in. I get it now. It harkens back to a day that when we were all young and just happy to get our little mitts on these lost treasures. Let's see. 2009 is our next film, available on Tubi. It's called Redline, directed by Takeshi Koike. The voiceover is done by Patrick Seitz and Michelle Ruff. This is a story about the most popular racing event in the galaxy, the Redline, and the various racers who compete. It's an anime, I'll tell you now. So if you don't like that, then you're not going to like this film. It's very much like a video game, but man, is it a feast for the eyes. They use over 100,000 handmade drawings and no CGI, and they spent 7 years in production before it was finally released. This is kinetic, it's frenetic, it's energetic, and holy mackerel, it is a wallop of a good time. I think that a lot of people, when they talk about anime, they'll talk about either, the kids seem to love all that stuff now, and I don't know from it, but in my day, they would talk about things like Akira and Ninja Scroll and that kind of thing, Urotsusuga Doji and that kind of stuff. This should be right up there alongside it, being discussed and being revered. Redline is a hell of a good time. So check it out. Complete change of pace now for our fourth film. 2004, again, Tubi. Jun Ichikawa is the filmmaker. The film is called Toni Takitani. Stars Issei Ogata, Ria Miyazawa, and Shinohiko Takahumi. Music is by Ryuichi Sakamoto. It's based from a Harumi Murakami book. I'm going to be completely honest at the outset of this. I love this film. It's not anything like Redline. It's not frenetic. This is a glacially slow-paced film. The synopsis goes, when technical illustrator Toni Takitani asks his wife to resist her all-consuming obsession for designer clothes, the consequences are tragic. That isn't fair. What happens is, I'm going to spoil a little bit of this so that it'll whet your appetite. The wife, who is an obsessed clothes horse and is constantly going shopping, she has rooms full of clothes. She is killed in a car accident. And as Takitani is grieving, he hires someone, a girl, as an assistant, and she finds all these clothes. And she's from a poor background. So she asks permission to put him on, and he agrees. And as she starts to put on his wife's clothes, he starts to kind of fall in love with her and become obsessed with her. It's interesting that nearly every shot in this movie moves from left to right. Some are static, particularly toward the end, and only a few of them go from right to left. Excuse me. Again, this is really a slow film, but it's a haunting tale of love, loss, and longing. I wept like a baby in this. Again, if you just chill out and let the film unfold in its own pace, it is completely worthwhile. So trust me on this. If you don't like that kind of thing, then you're really going to hate this. But if you are willing, if you like Japanese cinema and you like contemporary Japanese cinema, and you don't mind something that opens, let's say, like a flower, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful film. And then our final film is from 2005. It's available on TUBI, directed by Chan-wook Park, starring Young A. Lee and Min Sik Choi. I'm going to butcher the original name of this. CHINJEOLHAN GEUMJASSI, a.k.a. Lady Vengeance, a.k.a. Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. This is part of the trilogy that was Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Old Boy. That'll give you an idea of kind of what we're talking about here. The synopsis goes, after being wrongly imprisoned for 13 years and having her child taken away from her, a woman seeks revenge through increasingly brutal means. Yes, it's all of those things. The performance by the main actress, Young A. Lee, is pitch perfect. It's beautiful. It's subtle. It's the ending of this will rock your world. I don't want to say anything more than that, but it is beautiful in its poeticness. Is that a word? Poeticness. Exquisitely rendered, but still is brutal. There's no denying how brutal the end of this is. It involves the man that sent her to prison and her giving him his comeuppance. And I am really, that doesn't do it justice, but trust me on this, that ending is such a punch that you're going to absolutely love it. So let's see, moving on to books. We're going to go with 1921. Now remember, a big thing with me in this channel is, in order to know where we're going, we got to know where we've been. So a lot of times the books, and especially today, a lot of the books I recommend are older. I don't really care too much about what's on the bestseller list. I don't really care what wins a Stoker. These are time-honored classics that may have over the years been abandoned for something shinier, if you with me on that. My loathing of the, I'm never going to win a Stoker. I can guarantee you that, because I'm not a member of the HWA and I won't be a member of the HWA. That's a topic for another show. But I'm interested in really beautiful work done well, and being able to understand where the trope, modern day trope, came from. So I go into the past. Hence this book here, 1921. Max Brand, the book is called The Seventh Man. Max Brand was a pseudonym for Frederick Schiller Faust, and he is a legend in the Western. My love of Westerns is well documented here on this channel, which I myself still find super weird. The only thing I can piece together is I grew up on samurai cinema, and the samurai film and the Western are very, very similar as far as thematically and tone and tropes. This has to do with one of Brand's characters, Whistling Dan, and who is kind of like, imagine The Man with No Name, the Clint Eastwood stuff, but later. He's now married, and he has a daughter, and he's living his life in an isolated piece of property. and then something happens that puts him back on the trail of vengeance. A couple of cool things I noticed here. First of all, this is the third and last book in the Whistling Dan series. It's an iconic character, that sort of lantern-jawed, speak only when I need to speak kind of character. It's essentially a revenge novel and a Man with a Past book. It's kind of interesting. A couple of the side characters that I just absolutely loved were Black Bart, his loyal wolf dog, and Satan, his horse. And they're very much characters. They're not just Whistling Dan and his dog or Whistling Dan and his horse. These characters move the plot forward. They're vital, and they're absolutely terrific. Interesting thing, Max Brand, one of his other books and one of his other properties is that he created the Dr. Kildare character, and there was a series of books, and that went on to become a TV series with Richard Chamberlain and its whole thing. This is very much different. I thought it was fantastic. It becomes like a lot of Westerns. It becomes sort of a chase thing, but and the ending is a little weak, but boy, is it a fun ride. So again, Seventh Man, Max Brand, I recommend it. Up next, speaking of old books, this is from 1907. William Hope Hodgson, his book, The Boats of Glen Carrig. It's a first-person account of a shipwreck and its survivors battling supernatural horrors on a vast, weed-choked sea. It blends maritime horror and cosmic horror. It's high adventure. The language is a little dated, but it's still vivid. Like a lot of things from the past, there's never the light show. By that I mean like the big, two-fisted ending, or the monster reveals itself and we get a full description. I mean, even Lovecraft, one of the things I always knock Lovecraft on is when the monster shows up, he's like, and it was so horrible, I can't even describe it. Well, try. But this is a great book. It's a pretty quick read. Like I say, the language can be a little challenging because it's written in 1907, but bear with it, and it does a great job. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. The Boats of Glen Carrig. Coming after that, Henry S. Whitehead, who was Henry St. Clair Whitehead. He was an American Episcopal minister and a horror author, which I still don't know how that matches up. The book is called Voodoo Tales, The Ghost Stories of Henry S. Whitehead. His work was published in a lot of the pulps, things like Strange Tales and Weird Tales and all of that stuff back in the day. And Algernon Blackwood listed Whitehead as an author he admired. And Whitehead did a lot of traveling through the Caribbean and through Haiti and so a lot of his stories had to do with what he called Jumbi, which are the Haitian zombie. This isn't like a Romero zombie. This is more of a dead person under a spell that is brought back. It's great stuff. Again, because there's never a big monster reveal, he has to get by more on tone and on description. And Whitehead's a great writer. You can get his stuff on Kindle for like 99 cents, like a complete collection of all of his stuff. Just fantastic. I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did. In the past of this show, I reviewed Otto Penzler's book, Zombies, and I complained a little bit about the Haitian zombie. But Whitehead nails it, and his stories are the best part of that book, and this book here is just fantastic. Voodoo Tales, The Ghost Stories of Henry S. Whitehead. A couple more. Mark Morris edited a book called New Fears and New Fears 2. That's the book I'm talking about, New Fears 2, in 2018. It's 21 brand new stories of the ominous and terrifying from some of the horror genre's most talented writers. People like Paul Tremblay is in this, and Stephen King is in this, and a bunch of other people. Morris edits a lot of books that, I'll be honest with you, I just didn't care for. He seems to have this knack for gathering subpar work from some really stellar individuals. I don't want to say that his books feel like a dumping ground for things that no one else wanted to buy, but I'm going to sure intimate that. I really wanted this thing to be better. I am finding the more of these kind of collections I read that I can't blame the writers, because the writers write what they write, but I can blame the editors, because they're the ones that are separating the wheat from the chaff, and they are the ones who are picking everything. So if the collection you're reading kind of sucks, look at the editor and ask yourself, why did he pick these? And then finally, excuse me, 2024, Stephen King, You Like It Darker. It's another collection of short stories by the master. It explores themes of fate, mortality, and the edges of reality, i.e. horror. King is great. I love King. He tends to deal with the tried and true. I spoke with Clive Barker once, and we discussed, I had said to him that King seems to be, his stock and trade seems to be normality that is invaded by the other, where, excuse me, Barker's stock and trade seems to be the others who are kind of living their life. Think Midian in Nightbreed. And then the humans invade it and become the monsters. Another interview I did once was with Neil Gaiman, and he said with King's books, you just wait until somebody finds the cache of dynamite, and then you kind of know how this is going to end. Thankfully, this is not like that. I enjoyed this book. I love his short story collections. I wish he'd do more. Because it's a different muscle, and I like to see him exercise that muscle as opposed to the long, hard trek of a novel. I tend to think of short stories as like Swiss watches. Every word counts, every moment counts, and there's not a lot of room for screwing around. King's among the best. I don't need to tell you that, but there you go. Moving on to some records. Good batch this week, or today. I have a bunch of stuff later in the week that is also really good, but here we go. 2026, the artist is Fabiano di Nascimento, and he is joined by Ruscha, and the album is called AQUATICOS. This is a lovely atmospheric record. It's very tropical sounding. It's very enchanting. It's ambient jazz. I like this one a lot. It reminded me of Alistair de Plume. This is one of those things you can put on at dinner, you can put on as you're reading, you can put on at night, going to bed, all that stuff. Just absolutely lovely. And I highly recommend, again, go to the description. You can go to a YouTube playlist and you will find a link that you can judge for yourself. But it's really great. It's a beautiful record. Up next, from 2025, the band is called EH3. The record is called Close to Nothing. This is rock prog jazz with a little boogie mixed in, and with a big heap and helping of virtuosity slathered over it. It's absolutely brilliant. It reminded me of things like the work of Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Steve Morse, Guthrie Govan, John Scofield. You get me? It's very guitar heavy, and this guy's a burner, man. Just fantastic. Another one that I put on and just put it on repeat for an afternoon and was thoroughly enthralled. Again, EH3, Close to Nothing. Up next, see, cold, sorry. 1987. The band is called Dukes of the Stratosphere. The record is called Chips from the Chocolate Fireball. It's a greatest hits compilation of the band. You will not be surprised to discover upon listening to this that this is the band XTC. It's very much influenced by 60s psychedelia, very reminiscent of that era. Reminded me of things like the Byrds, Electric Prunes, Turtles, and Culpeper's Orchard, if you are familiar with that band. It's a little more obscure. It was fantastic. I love XTC, so give me more XTC, and I'm a happy boy. Just fantastic, and again, highly recommended. Dukes of the Stratosphere, Chips from the Chocolate Fireball. After that, 2026, Julian Lage, L-A-G-E. The album is called Scenes from Above. This is a guitar-led jazz band. It's absolutely lovely. It's soft and reflective. It's a delight. It reminded me of things like Jim Hall, Bill Frisell, Nels Cline, John Zorn, and another guy that you should really check out, Jack Bico, J-A-C-B-I-C-O. Just very, very cool, very subtle, very lovely. I have a soft spot for stuff like that. Like I like to hear shredding, but I also like that. It's like Salieri said in Amadeus, like sometimes it's just too many notes. Another person I once spoke with said, it's not what you play, it's what you don't play that makes the difference between, you know, your average guitar player, because anyone can just rip scales, but having the understanding of how those notes relate to one another is very cool. And then finally, because my throat is killing me, Tremendous Aaron from 2026. The record is called No Te Preoccupes, Preocupes. It's very 60s sounding, a lot of virtuosity going on. It's very, very cool. It's sparse, but well orchestrated and super enjoyable. It's one of those things that, again, there's a resurgence of music these days that sound very much like a spy film, and I'm here for it. I think it's just very, very cool, very, very interesting, and the overall vibe isn't like things that you hear so much in modern music. And that's going to do it for a Monday. I'm always doing what I call deep dives into different music. I've been doing a lot of prog lately, and that's coming to an end because it's now starting to all sound the same. So I think I'm going to be going into some ambient music and some jazz fusion. So don't be surprised to see some of that popping up here in the coming weeks. Again, I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate you for subscribing. If you haven't done that, please do that. Like and comment. I usually get back to you within 24 hours. As soon as I see the notification, I'm instantly on it. Thanks to the people who have asked questions. Thank you to the people who enjoyed Barry Levinson's The Bay from another episode. And go to the description and check out all those links. I think you'll really find, you may very well find something that you absolutely love. And lastly, my final request is share the show to your social media. I appreciate that. And thanks for sticking around. We'll see you on Wednesday.